Welcome back to my channel, or if you are new, welcome here. My name is Therese and I am enjoying the early summer season in my garden, where many of the things I planted and planned for earlier in the year are finally starting to show results. Last week, I was trying to keep up with tomato, chili, and eggplants that seemed determined to take over every available space indoors. It felt like one of those moments in the garden season when everything is growing faster than you can manage. This week, though, I found myself noticing something else. How many of the things I am enjoying now began long before this week even started. One morning, I pulled a container of tomato sauce from my freezer to make homemade pizza. The tomatoes were harvested last summer, preserved for winter, and now, almost a year later, they found their way back onto our dinner table. Moments like these remind me why I enjoy growing food. Not because every harvest is large or impressive, but because small efforts have a way of returning to you much later. Another crop that has been keeping me busy recently is radishes. Earlier this season, they seemed to grow almost overnight, and this week I decided to turn some of them into pickled radishes. It is one of my favorite ways to preserve this harvest. And I have added the recipe in the description in case you would like to try it yourself. As I was working in the kitchen, I noticed the tulips outside. They have been brightening up the garden for the past weeks. Now they were beginning to fade. A few weeks ago, they were one of the highlights of the spring garden. But now their season is coming to an end. To stop them from putting energy onto producing seeds, I removed the wilted flower heads. And once the bulbs have dried, I will store them away until autumn. Then they hopefully will be planted again. ready to begin a new cycle. Gardening often feels like a constant shift between beginnings and endings. While some things are finishing for the year, others only just getting started. Two weeks ago, I planted some onion sets and started them in the greenhouse. This week it was time to move them into larger pots. Giving them a little more room before they continue their journey through the season. The same can be said for the lawn. Back at Easter, we prepared the area, sowed the seed, and covered it with fleece. At the time, it looked like very little was happening. But this week, I was finally able to remove the cover and see that the grass had germinated well. It's still far from finished lawn, but seeing those first green shoots felt like another small reminder that progress is often happening long before we can see it. Looking back, I think that is what this week has been about. Trusting the process. Many of the things I enjoyed this week were started long ago. And most of the work I am doing now is really for a future version of the garden. I am curious to know, do you have something in your garden that requires patience before you could finally see the results? Thank you for watching and hope to see you next week.